I'm honored to have you here, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome to our channel, where today's focus is all about Hartford Whalers season. Let's get started. The Hartford Whalers season was the Whalers' second season in the National Hockey League. In the next phase, we'll be immersing ourselves in the realm of off-season and exploring its real-world applications. On May 23, Hartford signed defenseman Tommy Abrahamsson as a free agent. Abrahamsson played in 26 games with Leksands IF of Elitserien, scoring 9 goals and 15 points. Abrahamsson had previously played with the Whalers from 1974 to 1977, when the club was still a part of the WHA. In 203 games with New England, Abrahamsson scored 28 goals and 95 points. Gordie Howe announced his retirement from the team on June 4. Howe retired as the highest-scoring player in NHL history, as he scored 801 goals and added 1049 assists for 1850 points in 1767 games in a career that spanned from 1946 until 1980. Howe joined the Whalers organization in 1977, and in 2 seasons with the New England Whalers in the WHA, he scored 53 goals and 139 points in 134 games. He remained with the club as they moved to the NHL, and Howe, at the age of 51, scored 15 goals and 41 points in 80 games, followed with a goal and 2 points in 3 playoff games. Following this announcement, the Whalers hired Howe as Director of Player Development. On June 5, the Whalers acquired center Rick Mark, a 3rd-round pick and a 5th-round pick in the 1981 NHL entry draft from the Montreal Canadiens in exchange for a 3rd-round and a 5th-round pick in 1981. Mark appeared in only 2 games with Montreal as he spent most of the season with their American Hockey League affiliate, the Nova Scotia Voyageurs. In 64 games with Nova Scotia, Marr had 32 goals and 76 points, followed by 3 goals and 7 points in 6 postseason games. At the 1980 NHL entry draft held at the Montreal Forum on June 11, the Whalers selected defenseman Fred Arthur from the Cornwall Royals of the QMJHL with their 1st-round pick, 8th overall. In 67 games with Cornwall, Arthur scored 5 goals and 70 assists for 75 points. In the postseason, Arthur had 2 goals and 14 points in 18 games, helping Cornwall win the President's Cup and earn a berth at the 1980 Memorial Cup. During the Memorial Cup, Arthur had 5 assists in 5 games, helping the Royals win the championship. On June 14, Hartford acquired goaltender Mike Visser from the Chicago Blackhawks in exchange for a 2nd-round draft pick in the 1981 NHL entry draft. Visser had a record with a 3.28 GAA and a save percentage in 11 games with Chicago during. The Whalers acquired right winger Warren Miller off of waivers under terms from the 1979 expansion draft from the New York Rangers on August 7. The Whalers had to give the Rangers cash to complete the deal. Miller scored 7 goals and 13 points in 55 games with New York. Miller scored 26 goals and 49 points in 77 games with the New England Whalers. On September 1, right winger Bobby Hull announced his retirement as a player. Hull appeared in 9 games with Hartford, scoring 2 goals and 7 points after he was acquired from the Winnipeg Jets. In 1090 career NHL games, Hull scored 616 goals and 1187 points as he played with the Chicago Blackhawks from 1957 to 1972 before signing with the Jets as a free agent. In 411 career WHA games with Winnipeg, Hull scored 303 goals and 638 points from 1972 to 1979, before rejoining the NHL with the Jets. On September 4, the Whalers traded away goaltender Al Smith to the Colorado Rockies in exchange for cash. Smith had a record with a 3.67 GAA and a save percentage with the Whalers. In 1973, Smith led the Whalers to the AFCO Cup, and in 1978, he won the Ben Hatskin Trophy, which was awarded to the best goaltender in the World Hockey Association. As we progress through this video, let's shift our attention towards October and uncover its hidden depths. The Whalers opened the season with a 4-game road trip, and on October 9, they lost to the St. Louis Blues, followed by a loss 2 nights later against the Minnesota North Stars. After a tie against the Buffalo Sabres, the Whalers earned their first victory on October 15 with a win over the Pittsburgh Penguins. Hartford played their first home game of the season on October 18 against the Detroit Red Wings in front of 10,287 fans. The Whalers' Al Sims led the way with 2 goals, and John Garrett made 26 saves in the Whalers' victory. The team would post a record on their opening 4-game homestand. The Whalers would finish the month with a solid record of earning 12 points and second place in the Norris Division, 3 points behind the first-placed Los Angeles Kings. Prepare yourself for an eye-opening discussion on November in the upcoming portion of this video. The Whalers would slump to begin the month of November, as the club would go winless in their first 8 games of the month before earning a victory over the Vancouver Canucks on November 22. The Whalers would follow that game up with a huge loss to the Chicago Blackhawks the next night. Hartford would end November with 2 wins in their final 3 games, bringing their season record to record with 20 points, sitting in 3rd place in the Norris Division. Let's now zoom in on December and uncover the hidden gems that lie within. The Whalers opened December with a 5-game Western road trip, in which the team put up a respectable record, with wins over the Calgary Flames and Winnipeg Jets. The team returned home for 2 games, as Hartford tied the Los Angeles Kings on December 13, followed by a win over the Boston Bruins on December 17. The Whalers then headed out for a 3-game road trip before Christmas, in which the Whalers tied the Bruins, lost to the Quebec Nordiques, followed by a huge win over the Toronto Maple Leafs on December 23. On December 26, the Whalers and Pittsburgh Penguins played a very high-scoring game, as Hartford came out on top with a victory. Hartford ended the month with a tie against the defending Stanley Cup champion New York Islanders the next night. Overall, the Whalers had a record in their 12 December games and improved to earning 34 points for the season. The Whalers continued to stay into 3rd place in the Norris Division, 5 points ahead of the 4th place Pittsburgh Penguins. Get ready to uncover the mysteries surrounding January as we navigate its intriguing terrain. Hartford got off to a bad start in January, losing their first 3 games, snapping their losing streak with a tie against the Edmonton Oilers on January 9. The Whalers earned their first win of the month the next night, defeating the Winnipeg Jets. The Whalers' losing ways would return though, as the club lost 4 games in a row, including 3 by 1 goal, before ending the streak with a tie against the St. Louis Blues on January 21. Hartford would then lose their next 2 games, extending their winless streak to 7 games, before the team finally defeated the Colorado Rockies on January 28. Hartford then went winless in their last 2 games of the month. The team managed a record in 15 games for the month, and had a record getting 41 points at the end of January. Hartford fell into 4th place in the Norris Division, 1 point behind the 3rd place Pittsburgh Penguins, and 4 points ahead of the last place Detroit Red Wings. Brace yourself for an enlightening exploration of February as we dive into its profound implications. The Whalers' losing ways continued into February, as Hartford would go winless in their first 9 games of the month, and extend their overall winless streak to 11 games. After their loss to the Pittsburgh Penguins on February 19, the Whalers fired head coach Don Blackburn and replaced him with Larry Plee. In his first game as the head coach, Plee ended the Whalers' winless skid as Hartford defeated the New York Rangers on February 22. The club won their next game 3 nights later, defeating the Minnesota North Stars. However, their winning streak ended with a loss to the Calgary Flames on February 27. The Whalers had a record in February, and had a record since the start of January, The Whalers' overall season record at the end of February was, as they earned 50 points and remained in fourth place in the Norris Division, only 2 points ahead of the Detroit Red Wings. Without further ado, let's move on to the topic of March April. The Whalers began March with 2 straight losses before earning a win over the Buffalo Sabres on March 6. Hartford then went on a 5-game winless skid before earning another victory, which was a huge win over the Montreal Canadiens. Hartford would continue to struggle for the rest of the regular season, as they posted a record in their final 8 games after the win over the Canadiens. The team finished their second season with a record, earning 60 points, and fourth place in the Norris Division, 4 points ahead of the Detroit Red Wings. The Whalers failed to qualify for the playoffs for the first time in team history. With our curiosity piqued, let's embark on a dedicated exploration of playoffs and its fascinating intricacies. The Whalers failed to qualify for 1981 Stanley Cup playoffs, as the club finished with a record, earning 60 points, which was 11 points behind the Toronto Maple Leafs for the final playoff position. This marked the first time since joining the NHL that the Whalers did not qualify for the playoffs. In this chapter, we'll be unraveling the enigma of transactions and discovering its transformative power. The Whalers were involved in the following transactions during the season. In the following section, we'll be immersing ourselves in the captivating world of free agents. Player former team Tommy Abrahamsson Leksands IF Sweden Randy McGregor ECV SB Austria Rosietes Mount Allison University AUAA. In this section, we'll be peeling back the layers of draft picks to reveal its true essence. Hartford's draft picks from the 1980 NHL entry draft, which was held at the Montreal Forum in Montreal on June 11, 1980. Have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover in future videos? Let me know in the comments.